Yo, what is going on, Comfy Gang? It's your boy, Comfy NEET, and I just woke up and deciding to switch it up by shooting a morning video. Anyways, I think I'm going to be talking about, I guess, several reasons why I want to move out of my parents' place. So you might be wondering, why would I ever want to do that when I'm in NEET? And, my room is pretty nice. If I were to move out, then I'd probably be staying in a place that's not as comfy because it wouldn't be as new, it wouldn't be as clean. Um, and I'd have to be worrying about things like rent and um, all that crap. But there are several good reasons why I'd actually want to move out, and the first of them being that, well, I just feel like I'll never have that full sense of privacy if I'm living with my parents because, well, I did kind of talk about it in a previous video about, my mom basically, secretly spying on me. But, I feel like even without that, I just feel like there's certain things that I can't really do or, do at peace while I'm around my parents. Like, okay, this is probably all my fault, but I just feel like I feel weird because I feel weird like doing things like watching anime or just being myself, basically listening to the music I like, because I just feel like ashamed and I feel like I can't show that side of myself to my parents. And maybe this isn't the best reason because it's probably coming from me, but I feel like, or, even things that I just, require privacy for, that I just can't do in my parents' place. And I'm always wondering, like, for example, shooting videos or doing other things that require privacy. And yeah, so it's like, that's one reason I don't have privacy. And another reason is that, well, I really just feel like I don't have a lot of control over my environment, because at the end of the day, if this were my own place and I could just do whatever I wanted in it, then yeah, like there's certain habits that it's really like I pretty much only have control over my own room, basically. Like I can pretty much rearrange whatever I want. And, if it's getting too messy, I can clean it up and declutter it. But when it comes to my parents' place, I don't have anything in control, especially upstairs. And upstairs, my parents are Asian parents, and, um, just naturally, they tend to be really disorganized and really and they're also, I'm not going to say straight up hoarders, but my dad is a typical Asian dad. He likes to keep every single plastic container that has ever been created. Like, for example, when we buy like takeout, because I guess he grew up fairly poor, so he always has that scarcity mentality. But the thing is, we have like multiple containers like that are like not cheap plastic, that are actually like glass, but he still feels the need to keep the plastic, and it just piles up, and then we keep every flyer, every brochure, and then everything's just scattered all over the place. And this might sound really petty, but I really do believe that your outside world is a reflection of your internal state or your environment, and that when you're living among clutter, it kind of reflects sort of like messed up internal, whatever, like disorganized thoughts. And I feel that, um, conversely, if you are in a very cluttered environment, it can actually, disorganize your thoughts, or at least it does for me, where um, it just makes it really hard for me to think. It's almost stressful for me to be around so much clutter. And not only that, but when it comes to things like my diet, for example, it's hard to control that around my parents because, firstly, I can't do things like meal prep because, obviously, ideally, I would want to meal prep all my meals, but at the end of the day, it's my parents' fridge, and not only would they not, I guess, stand for it, but it's like, yeah, like it makes sense. Like, I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna make my parents not use the fridge because, I'm piling like friggin' like 10 different Tupperware things full of prepared meals and the ingredients and all my things. Like, most of what's in the fridge is my parents' stuff. But that brings me to the second point. Not only is it their stuff, but it's either stuff that I don't eat, or it's stuff that is really unhealthy and tempting, like to just have junk food all over the place and lying around. And it definitely serves as a huge temptation for me. Like, I don't eat junk food regularly, but sometimes when I'm just in a bad mood, or if I just like I'm craving something, it's especially like soft drinks that I fuck up in, where I will, be pretty good on my diet, but then I'll just have that craving for like Coca-Cola. Or sometimes if the meal is not very good, I'll just eat like a handful of Lay's chips. But like over time it adds up. And my point is that if I were in my own place, I would just throw all that crap out, and I wouldn't ever have to deal with that temptation. Because what's the best way to deal with temptations? You remove them from your environment, so they're not there to tempt you anymore. And it actually even frees up a lot of willpower, because you have your brain doesn't have to devote as much time, um, as much time sort of preventing yourself from indulging that temptation. So that's another thing that I have to deal with. And at the same time, it's like, even my meals, like, I kind of feel obligated to eat what my parents cook, because, okay, this is first world problems crap. I apologize. Like, obviously it is a blessing in disguise, but and I really am thankful that they actually still do cook for me. But at the same time, it's like, I'd almost prefer if they didn't do that, and if they just let me cook. Because if I cook and they cook, like, the thing is, like, I've asked them not to cook for me, but then they say, yeah, sure, we can do that, but then they end up still cooking for me anyways. I've asked them several times. This is gonna sound so like bratty and stupid that I'm actually complaining about this, but it's like yeah, like, they just, it's kind of like, it's a dumb thing to complain about, but I guess it is there. Like, I guess this wouldn't be a problem if I actually moved out, but I guess being Asian parents, I guess they feel like I can't, or Helicon parents, they feel like they can't fend for myself, and that they have to cook for me. But the things that they cook are extremely unhealthy, and I feel a lot of times obligated to eat it, because, well, if they don't cook, then that's just like, if they cook a huge amount and they often overcook too much, then it's like, I feel like it's kind of like my obligation to eat that food, because if it's not eaten, then it's just going to be thrown out, like pretty much everything that they cook too much of. And it's also like, it's one way I can minimize my footprint, is eating food that they would have thrown out anyways. So basically eating leftovers. But the thing is, oftentimes I can make leftovers taste good, but it's really unhealthy, and it messes up my diet having to eat that stuff. It's just a stupid complaint, I know, but that's just how I feel. I feel like me moving out would not only save them money, I actually maybe not, because they'll overcook anyways. At least my yeah, whatever, I'll just say both of them do. And yeah, so that's my diet being messed up, not having control over my environment, you know, even just the furniture that they've chosen bothers me. I'd just rather have control over what's around me completely, Another thing is that, I'll just say it, like my mom, I have problems like both of them statistically. So like I was saying before, my dad is the type of person who is, I think he tends to try and look out for me too much. Like he doesn't helicopter parent me. Well, I guess he kind of does. It's kind of like a remnant of that. Like they don't really helicopter parent me anymore, but it's like my dad thinks that, well, they both think that I'm not capable of fending for myself. So they'll do things that I tell them not to do to let me do for myself, because I guess they think I can't do it. And I guess that's a minor complaint. Overall, me and my dad are pretty good terms, but it's like with my mom, I don't really have, it's better now, but still don't have the best relationship with her. And we do fight sometimes, but it's more that okay, this is gonna sound really bad, okay, but I just don't want to be around that like boomer energy. I just feel like as someone my age, I feel like it's better to be around people your age and hanging out with them. And when you're around people, for example, my dad is incredibly submissive and doesn't take initiative and all that, and is very I guess set in his ways. And then that kind of rubs off on me. And then my mom is just this typhoon of emotions. And for example, I just woke up this morning and I just heard her, yelling. And it's not at me, right? But when you're around people who are always angry and pissed off, it's not nice to be around, because it's like, it just lowers your mood. It increases your stress. Like just the sound of somebody screaming and yelling, like just raises your stress. It's not something that you want to wake up to in the morning. And keep in mind that they're not like in the same room as me, or even like the same floor. They're upstairs. And the problem with my mom is that she's always fighting with somebody, and it's like there's never a moment of peace. Well, there are, but it's like very short-lived. And she's always fighting with her sister, who's my aunt, or with my dad's sister, which is what's happening now, or with people that her friends, or at their, I guess their quote unquote work, which is more like I'm not gonna get into that, but yeah, their work, I guess. And yeah, okay, I'll just say it. Like they're both in some multi-level marketing thing. See, that's the thing, and just having to, yeah, I'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, just there's that, and then it's just so stressful, and sometimes I'd just rather be on my own completely. And the thing is with the COVID stuff is like, at least before COVID, they would leave the house and have some privacy. But now that they're in the house 24/7, and it looks like they're going to be like this for the foreseeable future, it's just, I don't have that. I'll never be alone, and I have to deal with like the constant, like negativity. And my mom is just a naturally negative person. And if she's not fighting with somebody, she's constantly like, berating my dad and shouting at him and um, uh, telling him that he's, incompetent, and always shaming him and shit. And it's like, it obviously bothers me because my dad is a really great person. Obviously his flaw is that he hasn't taken, control over his marriage. And I don't like hearing that shit because he's, I think my dad is honestly one of the very few people in this world that I can actually say is a genuinely nice person. Maybe to a fault even where he's just too nice, but he's not like fake nice, like nice guy nice. Like he's an actually nice person who actually cares about people and tries his best. But to hear my mom berate him like that, just, it's so bad, and it stresses me out. She's constantly shaming, constantly berating him. And yeah, just being around that energy. And not only that, but I just feel like being around old people in general, not only is it kind of shameful, but it just feels like I just don't jive with them. If that's a boomer term. Like that's a fucking problem with living with boomers, is you pick up their mannerisms. And it just doesn't feel good being around older people. And I kind of want to be around like people who I mesh with, even on like an aesthetic level, and in terms of like the energy and the vibe. And I want to be around people who lift me up. But in some weird way, I feel like my parents only drain me emotionally, especially my mom. And she is quite abrasive, so that also stresses me out. Or she's often very sarcastic and mocking the way she talks, and that often bothers me a lot. And then also there's all the denial of it, the gaslighting and shit. Like, okay, like I get it, but that she had a bad childhood. But I mean, at the end of the day, I can't really change her. I've tried talking to her. She has improved somewhat, but she's never going to be perfect. At the end of the day, the only thing I can really do is, move out and become independent, to be free of that, to live my own space. And speaking of my own space, like I said, there's things I can't do, but the biggest thing is like I can't do things like use Tinder or, go out and I guess at least try and socialize and talk to, I guess, women or girls, because, well, I don't know, it's so weird if I say girls at this age still. I guess I'm still stuck in like, as like a fucking teenager. Not teenager, I'm still like, I'm 24. Do I still call them girls or do I call them women? I guess I call them women, but it's kind of like a weird mental shift to make because I'm still like really juvenile. But, I guess I would be talking to anybody above 20, so I guess women would make more sense now at this point. It feels weird though, like I feel like a boomer. I'll just say girls. But anyway, that's a stupid side note. Like I can't talk to girls my age, or yeah, and I can't do that. I can't go party because I feel ashamed of drinking alcohol around my conservative Christian parents. And like, okay, I do kind of drink alone, but I have to kind of like do it low key, and just, I don't know, they always ask me and then I can sense disapproval. And what else? I can't, yeah, I just can't do so many things. Can't talk to girls. And what's the point of talking to a girl when, tell that you're living with your parents? That's super, super shameful. And also that Well, it's also that you can't even bring them home because like it's gonna be super awkward with my dad, and my mom is not gonna stand for it. I feel like she's gonna give me shit about it, and so yeah, so that's just another huge reason, honestly. And at my age, it's just like I feel like I can't even make any friends because I feel like I feel like it just adds to that sense of shame that I have that I'm a man child basically living with my parents, and I feel like if I were to move out, then I would also get rid of that stigma. And you know, obviously it's all in my head, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, it is kind of true. Like I feel like it is one of those social pressures that is actually positive in a way because yeah, you do genuinely feel like a man child, or like you feel like a little kid, and I don't like that feeling. Like I want to move out and live on my own, and I would be sacrificing a lot of things. Like for example, I'd actually have to go maybe wage cut, but I feel like I could make it in a way where with the extra income that I have from my aunt that maybe I could at least work part-time and still be able to do it, especially if I find a place that's really cheap. But I don't know, I definitely have a lot more control over like what I eat and like my environment. So I think that's pretty much all I have to say about it. Probably rambling by now. So anyways, make sure to like the like and subscribe button if you enjoyed that video. And this is Comfy Neat signing out.